G'day folks, it's Rob here and welcome to this week's Backyard Farm and Aquaponics clip. This week we're going to be looking at planting out some garlic in the soil beds. Now the garlic I'll be using this season is a bit of a mix. It's some Glen Large softneck garlic that I've saved from last year's crop, also some Italian pink softneck garlic, and I've got a mix of two varieties of garlic that I bought at stores. One is a very large fat clove and the other is a little bit smaller with a bit of a pink or purple skin on it. Both of which I think may be hardneck garlics just because of the size of the cloves and how many were in the bulbs themselves. So here in the subtropics, because it is a little bit warmer than the southern garlic growing regions, we tend to go for the softneck varieties that belong to either the artichoke or the silver skin families. There's actually 9 hardneck varieties, but yeah, you can look them up online if you're interested to see what they are. So because of our climate and also how close we are to the equator, we are better off growing the daylight neutral varieties. In the onion family you can get daylight neutral, short daylight and long daylight varieties. Basically what that means is you require a certain amount of daylight to trigger the plant to start setting a bulb. The other variety, the hardneck variety, they actually send up a flower scape that can look quite funky at times. It can do a 360 loop or just look all twisty and turny, and at the top of that little flower spike you'll end up with a cluster of bulbules, and in between those bulbules you'll end up with some little flowers, garlic flowers themselves. Now those little bulbules can be taken off and planted out, and next season you'll get what's generally called a garlic round. It's just a round solid clove of garlic that you can eat or save again and plant out the next year to get a nice full bulb of garlic with a number of cloves in it. Just quickly too, something I read in the garlic book put out by Penny Woodward is that those little flowers, if you prepare the flower head correctly, those little flowers in between the bulbules can actually set seed, and you can save the seed from your own hardneck garlic and then plant it out later on. I'm not too up on the ins and outs of how that's done, but if you want to check out Penny's garlic book, there's loads of information in there. It's actually a great little book. Just quickly, it covers the history of garlic, the medicinal use, how to grow it, some pest tips and that sort of thing. So there'll be a link down below if you want to suss it out. I'm not sponsored by Penny in any way either, just to let you know. I just think it's a fantastic read. Just quickly getting back to the little bulbules, some varieties of the softneck like the Glen Large we grow, they'll actually grow a couple of bulbules just up from the bulb themselves, like this one here from last year. They set these little bulbules in the pseudostem that comes up and forms the stalk that the leaves grow from in the soft neck varieties, and these little bulbules can be taken off as well and planted out just like the ones you get from the hard neck flower heads. The probability is these guys will grow a little round next year, and you know, we might save them and experiment and see if we can get a full clove of garlic the following year. So I will be popping a couple of these out from the Glen Large just to see how it goes. So hopefully the sun's going to reappear from behind some clouds, and I'll give you a gander at how I'm preparing the soil, the spacing, and basically how I'm going to plant out this garlic and look after it through the season. So folks, this is our Vegepod. I've just topped it up with a little bit more potting mix. I was just thinking a little bit, it had settled over the last couple of months. The only thing I'm adding in here is a mix of rock dust minerals and kelp powder. It's just milled up kelp, so that's going in here, just giving a few extra trace elements. And the only other thing I'll be popping in is a couple of handfuls of these pellets. So these pellets are a slow release variety. Basically they need the microbes and bacteria to break them down to allow the nutrients to become available for the plants. Now that they're in, what I'm going to do is just lightly turn them into the top of the bed. By the way, these Vegepods, if you haven't seen them before, they're a self-watering, self-contained garden. There'll be a link down in the description to my website where I have more information on these, as well as a discount code for you Aussies, and a link for you folks in America to buy them through our Amazon influencer page, for those folks who are interested. And just to level everything down again, we've got a little bit of timber here. Probably fluffed up the soil a little bit, so it's going to sit over the edge, but that's all right. So obviously I'm growing in a container, so I'm using potting mix, but if I was to be growing in the soil, what I'd do is add in some well-aged manure or some compost to feed up the soil before planting the garlic out. So what I'm looking at doing is spacing them roughly around about 15 centimeters apart. So I'm actually going a little bit further for these larger cloves. So I've got 5 of them. I just think rather than putting them all in now, I'd rather just make sure I've got enough room. And generally the spacing is around about 15 centimeters apart, or about half a foot, 6 inches. So we've got 1, 2, 3 of the other store-bought, and then we'll start moving our Glen Large over here. A couple more holes here. Now we'll use our saved Glen Large. Just break it all apart here. So from our Glen Large bulb, I say from last year, we've got 3 here that are probably a little bit too small. They can go up in and be used in the kitchen, and these 4 here will be planted out, and they'll fit nicely just along here, I think. 2, 3 and 4. So I've just broken up the 2 pink Italian bulbs, and a lot of the small ones like these I've taken out, and there's also been 1 or 2 that are a little bit squishy, so they're all definitely coming out. And I think I've got 13 or 14 here that I can pop in. So again, we're going to do the roughly 15 centimeters, 6-inch spacing. So I think we're going to have just enough room for these garlic, because the last 2 I want to pop out are the little bulbules that were on the pseudo stem of our Glen Large. And there's a closer look at these little bulbules. They really are tiny. So they're going to go down the front here, just in the corner, so I can keep an eye on them. So now planting them out is pretty easy really. Like, I've stuck my finger down here to make a bit of a hole, but you don't really need to. You just get the fat flat end of the garlic and push it down probably until it's about 3/4 of an inch, 20 mil below the surface. I'm actually rather chuffed with the way this has worked out, because it looks like I've got just enough space for all the garlic we have. While I'm popping these in, I thought I'd just mention that in the past I have vernalized the garlic, but I've since learned that with these neutral day length varieties, like the Glen Large and the Italian Pink, we really don't need to worry about that. And now for my last 2 little bulbules. These guys here, I think I'll fill in those holes, and I'll just push them down about 1 centimeter under the top there. Not as deep as the others, and just cover them up. And that's it. All this is garlic's planted. So now, just to finish it off, I'm just going to give it a generous watering with some seaweed. It's basically a powdered kelp that I mix in with some water. Generally how I'd be watering this is with the watering system that comes with the Vegepod, but because I'm adding something a little bit extra, I thought I'd use the watering can. So as far as feeding these guys through the season, I don't think I'm going to need to give them any more nitrogen-based fertilizer. I may give them a little bit of a boost with some seaweed towards the end when it's starting to put on some bulb growth. As you can see, it is very easy to prep the soil and plant out your garlic, be it in a container or in a soil bed. The same principle, a lot of nice rich organic matter, pop your garlic in and give it a nice good water in, and away you go. Now, for you folks who are looking at planting out some garlic now, do consider where you're growing and what your day length will be come summer. So for us here, like I said before, a neutral day length. You folks down south, you might be looking for the long day length variety or the hardneck variety of garlic, mainly because further away from the equator, the longer your summer days will be. You folks in northern Queensland, pretty much will stick with the neutral day length variety, but you'll probably find that your little cloves that you plant out will just provide you with garlic rounds. But I mean, you know, it's worth a crack just to see how you go, I think. And just for you folks who are interested in the book, that's what the cover looks like, Garlic by Penny Woodward. There'll be links down in the description below to the book and website, and I've actually just listed it on our Amazon influencer page as well. I may have mentioned that before, but if you want to check it out, it's down there. May even be a copy in your local library. So if you have found this clip to be useful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and also share it around with your family and friends. And for you folks who haven't subscribed yet, all you need to do is hit that little subscribe button down the bottom there and check the bell icon once it appears, and you'll be sent notifications whenever I upload a clip to YouTube, be it on the soil patch or the aquaponics or whatever. So I was just down here filming a bit of an update clip for our patrons. G'day patrons, and thanks for the support. And I found these 2 little Italian Pink garlic sprouts, so I thought I'd include them just here at the tail end of the clip. So haven't seen any other sprouts pop yet, but give it a couple more days and I'm sure we will. So also too, yeah, I need to thank the super contributors over on Patreon. You'll find their links down in the description below if you want to go and show them some love. Now I need to just plug the hose in over there and give these guys a bit of a water. So I'll leave you to it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Have a top one.